Let's face it, life isn't easy. If you're stuck in a bad relationship, betrayed or afraid of tomorrow, financially insecure, or desperate for a breakthrough, you've come to the right place. Dr. Carmen Harra is a renowned psychologist, intuitive, relationship expert, and best-selling author, and she's here to give you the miracle guidance you need. Her new call-in show, Miracle Guidance for Everyday Life, offers profound wisdom, practical advice, daily exercises, and empowering predictions, all for you. Dr. Harra's show aims to eliminate everyday problems, big and small, with topics like healing your relationships, reclaiming your power, achieving better health, dealing with loss, and so much more. Regain the joy, stability, and fulfillment you deserve to feel. Tune in to Miracle Guidance for Everyday Life with host Dr. Carmen Harra, live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, and find the answers you've been looking for.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Miracle Guidance. I'm Carmen Harra, live every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on OMTimes Radio. And tonight, I'm so excited. I have a wonderful topic about healing. And I have an amazing guest, Jon Sweeney, tonight. I'm going to invite him in a second. But I want to just tell you a little bit about the fact that life gives us many reasons to hurt, but gives us plenty of opportunities to heal. And healing is not something we do once and never do it again. It's something we must undertake each day. We have to mend ourselves continuously, constantly working to bring balance to our minds, to bodies, and to our souls. So the truth is that many of us don't heal. We just go through our hardship, and yet we let that pain linger. So healing completely seems to be very difficult. So what we do, we bury our pain into our subconscious, and we attempt to get over the pain and don't have enough time to nurse our wounds. So we don't put ourselves whole again. So that's our problem, because healing is such a vital reason to personal fulfillment. So it's a necessary tool to personal fulfillment. You can make progress if you're not healed, if you're not whole. So if you hurt, or if you're sick, or if you're stuck, you're not the complete version of you. You are not yourself. But you deserve to be the best, the greatest you there is. When you are healed, you vibrate at the highest frequency. You achieve your goal with ease and grace, because what you need to heal at the end is your energy. As you know very well, we are energetic beings. When our energy is high, we're capable of conquering anything. But when the energy is low, from illnesses, emotional shock, mental trauma, we stuck and we become stagnant. So to break through is necessary to clear those energetic blockages, because when the energy flows, our body is healthy, our mind is at peace, our spirit is free. So that's why I said I'm going to invite an amazing friend of mine, Jon Sweeney. He was my guest before, because Jon is nothing short of incredible. He's an internationally known directed distance intentionality healer. His unique method of healing incorporates his Cherokee ancestors' understanding of natural balance within the universe and the relationship with the Creator. What does this mean? It means that Jon is an amazing master of energy, particularly when it comes to energizing energy, to utilizing energy to heal other people. I've used Jon for so many years, but I want to tell you something amazing, an experience I had with Jon recently. So just to give you an idea, and then I'm going to invite Jon to the show, I noticed like a week before Christmas that my dog, that is so precious to me, he's been my friend in my life for 13 years now. He's not a young dog anymore, but all of a sudden, he never had a problem all these years, and I saw him not being able to walk anymore. He stopped eating a day, 2, 3. Actually, my dog didn't eat for 14 days. 14 days my dog didn't put anything in his mouth. I ran from a hospital to another. I didn't know what to do. I was devastated. And guess what? 2 days later, after taking him to the hospital, the doctor said, well, your dog has metastatic cancer and there's no saving him. And after me spending $12,000 in like 5 days, I was told I have to spend another $20,000 to put my dog through chemo. And I got so devastated. I said, okay, it's time to call Jon. Anytime something happens in my life and things are off, it's time to call Jon. I'm calling Jon, and Jon said, your dog doesn't have cancer, Carmen. I've seen cancer. I know what cancer is. This dog doesn't have cancer. And I think that the dog will recover, and I'm going to help you with this. And I felt an enormous help. Fair enough, right after this, my dog got better, started eating again after all these days, and got better to a point in which my dog is better now than he has been before being sick. Actually, I haven't seen him so well in a very, very long time. He runs, he plays, he acts normal. It's just incredible what happened, like a miracle. And I have to thank Jon Sweeney for the fact that he saved my dog. But Jon Sweeney saved my husband. He kept him alive 4 years when the doctor said that he's going to die again from cancer. But Jon said, I'll help you with this, Carmen. I don't know for how long. Well, fair enough, 4 years when the doctor said he's going to die in 3 weeks. 4 years is a long time. So how can I express enough gratitude to my friend, Jon Sweeney, who I want to invite to the show. And I'm sharing with you this extraordinary experience I had with this man in my life, and how I appreciate and how I express my gratitude to somebody who is a born healer, who believes in, does the work of the Creator, who believes in the good and believes in healing. And I tell you, I've never seen anything like him, and I don't think I will in this lifetime. And before I talk to Jon, I want to tell you that, all forms of medicine recognize energy as the primary means of reinstating health. But there are all kinds of different ways of accomplishing it. Like, for instance, traditional Chinese medicine uses acupuncture to open, and qigong to open different points of energy and break the blockages causing the diseases. Western allopathic medicine uses drugs from a form of forming chemical reaction, to add energy to the body. Also, Western medicine will remove the disease part of the body in order to break through blockages. So the Western medicine is cutting the body. Homeopathic medicine uses the residual energy pattern of the active ingredients to alter the balance of the body's energy. Now, the Native Americans medicine treats the entire person from spirit to body and relies on plants for their chemical compounds, and this is their secret to create healing. Now, direct distant intentionality that Jon used, known as distant healing, bypass all of this system and deals directly with the universe in the most fundamental way. Consciousness and energy. It uses human consciousness to sense where the blockages are, and energy from the quantum field to break the blockages. So, in other words, I don't care, I was in Miami, my dog was in Miami, Jon was in Boston. Jon used this technique of distant healing and was able to heal my dog from a distance. How amazing is that? Because the ultimate goal is to restore the flow of energy to the body, and it is said the body can actually heal itself. Now, co-created coherence therapy that Jon is using is a bioenergetic therapy that provides a methodology for energetic diagnosis and repairing the problems in the body. But I'm going to let Jon tell you much more about it. My wonderful friend and the best healer on planet Earth, Jon Sweeney, thank you so much for being my guest tonight.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Carmen, and I just hope I can live up to that introduction. Thank you for the kind words.
Well, this is true. I mean, everybody listening needs to know this is exactly what happened to me. So those doctors telling me, black and white in writing, my dog Okay, he's a very, very, very sick dog. He's terminal cancer. There's nothing you can do, but we can actually try to put him to chemo. And guess what? My dog didn't have cancer. And you were absolutely right. And my instinct, my intuitive mind that always helped me in life, told me the same thing. Jon is right. I'm not going to take my dog to the cancer center, and I'm not going to let them kill my dog. And there we are, 2 months and a half, approximately 2 months later. My dog is actually in perfect state. My general doctor couldn't believe it. He was like stunned. He said, I don't know what happened. It's a miracle. And I've seen this miracle with you when my husband got sick and when they said there's nothing to be done. And my husband still lived years later thanks to this amazing work. This is all true. It all happened to me. So I remember my daughter being 14 years old and she was in the emergency room with 104 fever, and you talked to her on the phone, and 5 minutes later my daughter didn't have fever, so we were able to go home. So this is who Jon Sweeney is, so this is true. So tell me a little bit about this co-creative coherence therapy or bioenergetic therapy so people understand how this works and people get to know the kind of a work you do.
Well, Carmen, it would have to be a series of radio shows in order to do that.
Oh, I know. You're right.
But let us suffice to say that everything in the universe comes down to energy and consciousness. And in fact, consciousness does not reside in the brain, but resides outside of the brain within the quantum field. So consequently, you can actually take consciousness to alter the physical manifestations. Now, it sounds quite fantastical when you say something like that, but you start digging back through the quantum enigma and what goes on in the quantum field and how consciousness interplays, the role of the observer, and the study upon study upon study, confirms that this is the reality. People say, well, I'll believe it when I see it. Well, I can understand that, but you won't see it until you believe it, because it all starts with a thought. It starts with an ability to see a net outcome and then to alter the energy pattern to make that outcome happen. It's surprisingly easy to do because we are blessed as humans. The Creator has put this into each and every one of us. And it's like anything else. You can teach anybody to play chopsticks on the piano, but you can't, turn anybody into a concert pianist, because there has to be talent, there has to be dedication and practice, and there has to be a belief that can actually happen. So healing is in all of us. The gift is in all of us. It's written down in so many of the great texts, including the Christian Bible, where Jesus says in John 14:13, not this John, the other John, he says, if you believe in me, all the things that I do, you will do, and greater, because I go to the Father. In my mind, it doesn't get much more direct. So whether or not you're a Christian, it doesn't really matter, because what matters is you have the direction from probably the greatest healer of all time telling you, hey, guess what? You can do this too.
That is so true. That is exactly, you pinpoint, exactly what everybody should know. Now, my question to you is, how do you detect? To me, this is so amazing. How you detect from a distance what's wrong with a person when you communicate with them just on Skype or just over the phone. This to me is so phenomenal. How you tap into the problem,
What happens is I talk to the person on the telephone, and by talking to the person, I begin to hear the sound of their voice. And I hear it in a very deep way. And I begin to feel that other person. That process is called entrainment. And so I'm feeling and you're feeling, we're both acting together, beating in the same harmony. And as I talk to the person, I start to run my hands past an acupuncture model. And I can hit these little hits, these little pinpricks, of what's going on, where the energy is flowing, where it's not flowing. And as you said in the introduction, if I find a blockage where the energy is not flowing, I can break that blockage using, my intentionality to do that. And even in Western medicine, when you have a high flow of bioelectricity and a low resistance, you have a healthy organ. When you have a high resistance and a low flow of electricity, you have a diseased organ. So chi, energy, and bioelectricity are not the same thing, but for the purposes of our discussion, they're analogous. You can certainly say with certainty that the energy is what gives us life, and that's why your nervous system is such a prime way of being able to direct energy through it, because it's essentially the wires that carry your bioelectricity, and it connects to every organ in the body. So once you understand that and you begin to feel that energy, there's a number of things that were invented 3,000 years ago, which then became things like acupuncture and qigong. And then all of the Native American techniques all use intentionality. But the difference is that when you have intentionality in the Native American system, that is intention of gratitude. You don't ask for the Creator, the Great Spirit, God, whatever you'd like to say, to do something for you. You give thanks for it being done. And that sense of gratitude is what makes the difference in everybody's life. And when you're able to live in that sense of gratitude, the healing moment by moment, day by day, that you talked about in your introduction actually comes to pass, and you begin to live in that state of gratitude. And I'll give you an example. There are many days when I wake up in the morning and, boy, I just don't feel like getting out of bed. I don't want to go to work. I don't want to face the things I know are on my calendar to face. So rather than saying, I got to take a pass today because I'm not up for the job, or rather than getting depressed, I'm saying, I got to deal with this person today and that problem, and I say, thank you, God. Thank you, God, for giving me another day. Thank you for giving me the ability to help. Thank you for helping me to, give me the ability to relieve suffering. Thank you. And the thank you goes on and on and on. And by the time I finish with this mental process, I can't wait to get out of bed and go to work. See, it's the gratitude for the opportunity, even though it's still painful.
So the gratitude actually allows the energy to flow easier, creating that state of joy. And is it the right way to say it? It's just gratitude opens the channels of energy, so allows the energy to flow freely. And all the other emotions that is negative will create the blockage in the flow of energy.
Well, it does. It causes the body to tense. It causes the energy not to flow. It causes cortisol to be produced. It causes suppression of the immune system. Carmen, I've said to you over the years, and I mean this sincerely, if there were no stress, I would be out of business. 95% of what I deal with has its origins in stress.
Right.
And when you can get into the state of gratitude, even if it's something that is really a difficult situation, when you can get into that state of gratitude around it, now the door is open to change it.
Right. Now, we have a lot of people online, and we're going to ask them, they can ask a question about about how to heal or something related to the topic. So, Margot, Catherine, Robin, Lawrence, from California, all of you guys, hold on the line. We're going to take a short break, John, and we're going to take a break right now, 30 seconds, and we'll be back in a minute.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organisation, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at OMTimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
These are the sounds of a dinner that almost didn't happen. A dinner now served, thanks to people like you. Due to COVID-19, 17 million more Americans may face hunger. Feeding America is helping our neighbors in need. And if you're able, you can too. Donations are being accepted at feedingamerica.org/coronavirus. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
And I'm back with my wonderful friend and an amazing healer, the author of many books. Jon is also an artist. He writes books. He's a musician. So you have so many talents, Jon. But for my audience and everybody listening, I know so many of you who wants to speak with us. Think of a health question for Jon. But my question to you right now is, how does the mind create a disease? Because I am firmly convinced that we participate in creating our problems, and we can make ourselves sick. So do you have an explanation of how we create those diseases?
Well, I do, Carmen. On a physical level, we create the diseases simply by causing stress within the body. For instance, we all have cancer many times during the course of our life. But if our immune system is strong and effective, then, the T cells come in, we kill off the cancer cells, it becomes part of defecation, and we go on, happy, unaware that we've ever had a cancer. Now, if you are highly stressed or you are, thinking in a very deeply negative way, your body is producing all of the proteins and the enzymes that it needs to make your thought pattern manifest within the body. So consequently, if you're in a state where you're highly stressed or highly depressed or really being super negative about what's going on in your life, you're producing cortisol, part of the fight or flight mechanism, the thing that gives you the ability to run away when the tiger is trying to eat you. And basically, that cortisol takes place. And the little things that we haven't seen before, like the cancer cells, they grow. They form little colonies called tumors. And before you know it, your immune system can't keep up with it. So then you try a multiple number of ways to try to kill off the cancer cells so that the person survives. It also produces inflammation, which tightens up your joints and makes you stiff and inactive. And, not having that activity, you also go into a deeper state of depression. We're seeing an awful lot of depression right now because of all of the lockdown stuff with the COVID-19. And it's hard to stay up and focused when you have all of this going on around you, but it's part of the process. So it's not so much that your mind creates the disease, that creates the conditions for the disease to take hold. And yes, you can manifest the disease. Unfortunately, I have seen it. I had a doctor one time call me and ask if I would do a reading on one of his patients. And he said, I'm going to give you the laundry list, of all the things he thinks is wrong with her. And so I did the reading, and I looked at it all, and I called him back, because I wasn't, because I'm not a doctor, I can't say, oh, you have this or you have that. That's against the law. But what I did is I called him back, and he said, does she really have these things? I said, yeah, and let me tell you, that, I'll give you a list of things that you missed. This person's whole identity was the illness. This person had taken the whole personality of making her sickness, part of her very being, her very core. And she would say things, well, I take bad things and I make them better. You know, it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing to deal with, but it's very true. So the mind can create, but more often than not, it sets the conditions for the body to have a problem.
I agree with you, and I'm going to ask you if you have, for our listener, some tips of how to harness the power of the mind, how to overcome this destructive tendency that people have, you know, to overthink negatively, you know, to, like you said, to create the condition for the disease. And is there a way to overcome that? Is there a way to harness the positive in you? And if there's a way, how you know how to do it? What is the role of the mind in you know what I mean? Breaking through this conditioning and creating the healing process.
Yeah,
because I do believe that the people can heal on their own. No,
absolutely. In fact, that's my next goal. I'm at that point in my life where I'm making decisions about my future and when I'm going to retire. And my next goal is to teach people how to heal themselves. And I'm working on it right now. I'm not ready to reveal to you exactly how we're doing it, but I'll bet you that's a very different conversation in 2 to 3 months from now. We're very close. But basically, in order to be able to heal, the first thing that has to happen is you have to go into a quiet state, calming the mind. Best way to do that is to use meditation. Many studies have proven that meditation is far more effective than things like Paxil. Okay? It really does a fabulous job of quieting the mind and helping to quell some of those things. Second thing is diet and exercise really do play into it. And having movement and the right foods in your body really help as well. But in order to be able to do the healing, you have to start by quieting the mind. When you're quieting the mind, then you learn to reframe the story. So you take the story and you put it into a different context. And in that context, you're actually changing the series of events around it. And another thing that you can do is you start to learn how to move energy. And there are time-proven ways of doing it. Something as simple as learning Tai Chi or Qigong, which are all based around moving energy. And the form of healing that I started with was actually based in Qigong. It was learning how to feel energy patterns, learning how to feel energy, and move energy. And that was just simply Qigong. It's been around for 3,000 years. I moved from that to the harnessing of the mind with intentionality. So human consciousness comes into play, so that energy is now being directed by your consciousness, which is a form of energy within the quantum field. And in moving that energy, now you can start to direct energy to people. One day last week, I worked with people in the United States, Israel, France, Italy, and Taiwan in one day. And
that's amazing to me. Yeah.
Everybody had a great result. And the thing is, because distance is a human construct that has nothing to do with energy. You think about the speed of light. Energy moves so fast, it's imperceptible to us.
Right. And you know what? I also notice about you that you are such a musician, and you such a belief in the sound and the music as a form of healing. And I'm going to ask you if you really use this, or if this, music can rejuvenate the body cell, or can really help a person to get better. The way this
absolutely.
has been said, for a very long time. Yeah.
There was an experiment that was done recently by John Stuart Reed in England, and they decided to find out whether or not sound had any implications for human blood cells. So they decided to use red blood cells, and they divided a batch, and half of it was kept in silence, and the other half was subjected to sound. And they found that basically full spectrum sound made the blood cells replicate 40 times better than the control group, which was silence. And
Incredible.
now I'm about to get thrown off your show by the engineer because I'm gonna play just a little bit of sound for you so you have a sense of what it is that we do.
Please. Yeah.
That's just a very small example. Using some instruments that were made for me, plus a standard vibraphone and crystal bowls. And what it is I'm playing 4 octaves of music. Now, it's sound. It's not music. You notice there's no melody, there's no tune. It's just plain sound. And I was very blessed to have a very prominent jazz pianist become a new client, and I was so intimidated to play for this person. And I said, listen, this is probably going to be painful for you because we're not doing music, we're doing sound, and if it starts to become melodical or music, I'm going to change it. So we started doing it, and did it, and everything was fine. And I said to the person, were you okay with that? And there was dead silence. And then the person says, I've been playing music for 40 years, but this is the first time I have heard sound.
Wow. This is so incredible to me. And I want to tell everybody listening, because I know that you might have people in your life who are not well, or you might probably feel you want to heal something within you. And if you want to get better, if you think you have a physical problem, an emotional problem, something, contact Jon, and I'm going to give them your email is spiritwords@mac.com or www.spiritwords.com. Spiritwords.com, that's your website, and your email is spiritwords@mac.com. So these are the way you can email. Yes. Mm-hmm.
I would ask people to be very patient because I'm a little bit overwhelmed with clients, and I will get back to you if you're kind enough to write to me or call me. I will certainly respond, but just give me a little bit of space because right now it's hard to keep up with everybody.
I know you have so many people. I know that I have people asking me about Jon Sweeney, and and they reach out to Jon, and I know the waiting list is probably for 3 years. It's just incredible what's happening here. But everybody wants to be healed. Most likely nowadays, people are so talking about the cortisol going to the roof, the stress hormone, people feeling all my way, people living in fear, in negative emotions, and that's when diseases are created. And there's a lot of need of your work right now, Jon. And I really believe that what we achieved tonight is making people understand that there is a way to heal yourself. There is a way to help yourself by learning a little bit about Qigong, learning how to use your own energy, learning how to control yourself, learning how to work on your emotion and on your tendency of being afraid and negative, the dark side, the shadow that exists in you, and try to heal that. And heal it in whichever way you can. If you think that meditation helps, but as you said, that quiet mind,
Quiet mind. It doesn't have to be
quiet
meditation.
mind is the essence of healing.
Prayer.
Make your mind, detach from all the outside disturbances, all the negative influences. Stop watching the TV and stop allowing that drama, the tragedy, to take over your well-being. And find the strength within you and understand that you can be your own healer, actually. Because I remember from you, Jon, you heal yourself. That's what
I did. That's how I got into this. You
can tell our listener in 2 seconds how you heal yourself, because your story is just so incredible.
Well, I had been involved in bodybuilding way back when, and I had no right to be there because I just wasn't built for it. And I hurt my back so badly that eventually I was told I was going to be a paraplegic for the rest of my life. I couldn't walk, and I had run out of options. I had a surgery, and I had physical therapy and everything else, and nothing worked. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. So I had fallen in love with the woman I'm now married to, and I didn't, want to saddle her with a paraplegic. So I thought, time to break it off. And I thought, oh, wait a minute, let's see what we can do. There's got to be a way to fix this. So I started to, try to understand what the problem was. And the problem is that I was under so much stress, I was constantly putting myself in more and more pain. And I started getting angry about it, which made the situation worse. And then finally, I said, and I remember this, so vividly. I remember, yelling out loud, "Okay, God, I told you that I always wanted to, be a novelist, and I could never get my butt in the chair long enough, so you're going to put me in the chair for the rest of my life? Thank you. I'll be a novelist. I'll be a writer." And it was that little bit of gratitude that opened the door to first acupuncture, then Tai Chi and Qigong. And we noticed I had an enormous aptitude for being able to feel and move energy. And my cat broke his pelvis on both sides, and the vet wanted to put him down. And my wife said, no, just do that energy stuff. I said, I have no idea what I'm doing. Long story short, 3 days later, not only was the cat still alive, but he was out walking.
Wow. I've seen this. That you did to my cat too, by the way. So you healed everybody in my family. I'm sending you all the time, all my friends, because I've seen the power of your work. And what I appreciate about you, Jon, is that you are so gracious about, this amazing gift that you have, and you want to share it with us. And you have such an amazing soul, and you always find time for everybody. So I so appreciate you. But I would love, to take some calls if they have any questions to you about, how to heal and what they can learn from you. And I'm going to go to Catherine from Florida. Hi, Catherine.
Carmen, how are you doing?
Catherine, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So my lovely Catherine, I'm with Jon Sweeney. As you probably heard, the theme is the healing. Is there something you want to ask Jon?
Both myself and my husband, but my husband in particular, we both recently had cancer diagnosis, and he is more, he's not really trusting of doctors and wants to kind of heal himself. So any kind of thoughts or advice you have on that?
Well, that's a real tough one if the person doesn't particularly, want to go that route. You have to respect that. Best thing to do is you do it and show by example. Now, do we win every battle with cancer? Unfortunately, no, we don't. But our track record of dealing with cancer is significantly higher than many other forms of treatment, basically because it starts with the person itself. It starts by getting the body back into a healing mode, adjusting the story and the attitude and the thought patterns around it, and allowing a little bit of time and energy to do its job. And I wish I could tell you that it worked for everybody all the time, but it works for most of the people most of the time.
Right.
So the story that is most important is that sense of gratitude for the opportunity. And, when you have a cancer, it's extremely difficult to convince somebody they should be grateful for it. But
that's right.
The gratitude for the day, it sounds like absolutely crazy stuff. But that gratitude for the day, that gratitude for the moment, the gratitude for the people around you, even, gratitude for the doctors who are trying to help you and all the other people that are, working with you, and trying to come up with a storyline for yourself that helps to emphasize that sense of gratitude oftentimes results in that quiet, which allows the body to heal. It takes away so much of the stress, the fear, the anxiety, the pain, that it's a big plus. I'm not suggesting it's the only way to do it, but I am suggesting it's a very important way to do it. And it all starts first from the thought. It starts with how you feel. It starts with the story that you tell yourself. And you begin to, build out day by day, moment by moment. And that's the only way that I know that you can actually make it through a tough situation, is to start by making change. And the first change has to be within yourself. It has to be going to that place of quiet and acceptance about it, finding a way to be grateful for the situation and the opportunity, and then working your way through it. And yes, I know that sounds crazy, but I've been at this for 20 years plus, and I can tell you time and time and time again that it works.
Okay, that sounds like excellent.
And I will tell you, Catherine, something from my own experience. My husband was told he's going to have 3 weeks, so he was given 3 weeks to live. And he was so strong about it, and he told the doctor, I'm not ready to go now. I will not die, and I will prove you wrong. And with Jon's help, this man lived another 4 years. And at the end, he died because he did another round of chemo, because I think he would have lived even way longer. So at the end, the chemotherapy killed my husband. And it's sad to say, but it's just a medical reality. So I want you, to have a session with Jon in the future and contact him at spiritwords@mac.com, because I do believe that you will be able to benefit so much from this kind of a help. Like, go deeper into this kind of a alternative healing that Jon is offering you, the distance healing. And I am confident that you guys both are going to get better very soon.
Okay, great. And just one other question related. Do you have to speak to the person themselves, or can you heal somebody else? It's a strange one, but if somebody doesn't believe, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, they don't have to believe. In fact, some of the greatest outcomes we've ever had have been people that didn't believe at all, but were open. If somebody is closed off, quite honestly, there's very little that you can do.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, ethically, I can't just do it to somebody.
Right.
I have to have their permission. I have to have their agreement. And now, I have worked on somebody by way of proxy. In other words, I used the loved one who had a very strong connection to that person as the proxy for that person. And interestingly enough, we can be enormously accurate if the proxy is able to hold that person in their heart. And I've been able to correctly locate people in different parts of the world. We had a guy that was lost and very sick, and I was able to pinpoint him by using his mother, who was in California, and found him in the jungles of Papua New Guinea. And I couldn't tell precisely where he was, but I could describe what he was feeling, where, what his surroundings were like, and they were able to then track down precisely there, and they didn't even know he was there. But, it had a good outcome, and it turns out I was exactly right as to, what was going on with the guy.
Excellent. Okay, you definitely answered my questions. Thank you so much.
You definitely called for a reason, Catherine. And we're going to take a short break right now, guys, and we're going to go then up to Robin and to Lauren in California and then to Margot, so you guys hold on the line.
Thank you.
The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
I'm Fidel Nshombo. I was born in a city called Bukavu in the Congo. We were a loving family, and then, boom! Everything that I had disappeared in a single day. People think that when you are a refugee and they resettle you to America and all your problems are done. They don't understand that that's the beginning of everything. I was not born a refugee. I was made one.
It's time we welcome refugee families with open arms. Learn more at embracerefugees.org, brought to you by the Ad Council.
And I'm back with my wonderful guest, Jon Sweeney. You find him at spiritwords@mac.com or www.spiritwords.com and find his books and his art, his music. He's, to me, probably in my own life, someone I've never been so grateful and amazed by. So I'm going to go now, with your permission, Jon, and talk to Robin in Pennsylvania. Hi, my lovely Robin. How are you, my dear?
Oh, hello, Carmen. It's so lovely to speak with you today, and that you have Jon with you. I wanted to quickly... Hello, Jon. I wanted to quickly tell you, Carmen, that yesterday I got a phone call from Washington, D.C., and they said that the doctors are going to make the decision on my father's case, and I'll know by next week. It's been 3 years, Carmen, and you've been right there with me, giving me great hope.
But I really believe that this is fabulous news. Do you agree?
Well, that's just it. It's just like it's frightening in some ways, because
it's coming to a resolution. I want to ask you, Robin, if you have any health question to Jon, anything you want to ask Jon.
Yes. I've had such sadness over trying to overcome this sadness, and with my dog dying, last year, and I couldn't save her, and these things like with my father, and just trying to save him, and I couldn't do it, and I don't have that ability, as many people don't.
I'm going to ask Jon if there's a way. How can you deal with situation in which you feel hopeless, you feel like you wanted to save your parent, like I wanted to save my husband, and you cannot do it? How you heal from that sense of hopelessness, that sense of feeling incapable, to help a soul that you love? It's just, I'm asking if there's a way of doing it.
Well, it's again a very, very difficult situation to find something good in that type of environment.
Exactly.
But what happens is this, okay? And you can't deny this, Robin. You made a significant difference in the quality of that person's life. You showed up, you did what you had to do, you provided that love, that acceptance, and you helped guide these people through a very, very difficult time. Now, I tell people in my own practice, they say, well, the doctor says I'm going to die. Well, they say, yeah, the doctor's right, you are, but the doctor's wrong. Nobody knows when. Okay? So it's not a matter of whether you live and die. We know what the end game is for all of us. We all have an expiration date, and that date will come at some point. So the question is, what do you do for the quality of life between the time you're born and the time you die? My reading on what you're telling us is that you have played a very significant role in taking a very difficult situation and made it as good as it could possibly be. So the sadness can be turned to gratitude for saying, thank you for giving me that opportunity to be there. And you know what? It's never going to get easier. It's a very, very difficult situation. But by going into that state of gratitude for your role in that and for what you could do, it eases your own burden and, believe it or not, actually changes a lot of what's going on around you.
Thank you.
That's beautifully said, Robin. I have to admit that this has been said in such a powerful way, and I believe that is your truth. So, thank you, Robin, for calling us. And I'm going to go now to Lauren in California. I'm trying to answer as many people as possible. Hi, Lauren. Hi, my dear.
Hi, Carmen. Thanks for taking my call.
Absolutely beautiful, Lauren. You are with Jon Sweeney, and we are talking about...
Hi, Lauren.
Hi,
how
nice to meet you.
Can we heal? So is there something we can help you with tonight?
Yeah, so I was wondering, Jon, do you have the ability to, like if a doctor gives someone a diagnosis, do you have the ability to confirm if what the doctor is saying is correct?
Yes, I do, but I have to follow the ethical and legal parameters. Okay, so yes, I can do that, but I can't say, oh, you don't have this or you do have that. I can tell you that what the energy pattern indicates is the probability.
Okay.
See, making a diagnosis without a license, a medical license, is considered a no-no.
Right. Okay.
So, in other words, just to give you an example. So, Lauren, my dog was dying. So, doctor said he has stage 4 cancer. He cannot make it. It's done. Let's put him under chemo. And I'm going to Jon, and so says, your dog doesn't have cancer. So that says it all. So if my dog is better than ever today, without no treatment, without no chemo, no nothing, and I choose to believe Jon and not to take him to the doctors giving him chemo, he'd have been dead 2 months ago. But my dog is doing so well that I'm absolutely mesmerized just by believing and taking Jon's diagnosis versus what the doctor said. You understand? So that's why I feel that if you say, well, I want to check with Jon, I'm not going to tell Jon what the doctors think. I'm going to consult Jon and see what he thinks about my health, my father's health, my mom's health, who I want to, get help to, who I want to help. I'm going to check with Jon and see what he thinks about the problem. Where is the problem, according to him?
Okay. Okay, because the reason I ask is
I can talk about energy. I just can't talk about, making a medical diagnosis because that's considered illegal.
Right, I've heard that. Okay, because my question is this. So I've had, for about 10 years now, I've had a condition, I guess the most, socially accepted diagnosis would be chronic fatigue syndrome. So I've had, debilitating fatigue for the most part, and along with other symptoms. And I've been working with a few doctors, and they diagnosed me, about maybe 5 years ago with chronic Lyme disease. Have you heard about that?
I'm not familiar with it, no.
You're not familiar? Okay. Are you familiar with Lyme disease?
Yes. Oh, Lyme disease, yes. Yeah.
Oh, I'm familiar, very familiar with Lyme disease.
Oh, yeah. Do a lot of that.
Yeah.
Had a lot of success with it.
Okay. So I know that, the conventional medical community doesn't really acknowledge that Lyme disease can become chronic, but there are doctors out there who do believe that. So I've been working with a doctor, and, they've diagnosed me as having chronic Lyme disease. And so, I'm just kind of wondering about that. It's so hard to, it's not, a diagnosis that they can say with absolute certainty that, yes, you have Lyme disease. They just look at your lab values, they look at your symptoms, and they just make, using their clinical judgment, they'll say, I'm fairly certain you have Lyme disease, and they'll treat for it. So, I was just wondering if you, if you would be able to confirm that, and if you would be able to help treat that with whatever's going on in my body that's making me so fatigued.
I can tell you about the energy pattern that's involved with that, and I've treated a lot of people with Lyme disease. I thought you had said something else entirely different. I'm sorry. But, done a lot of work with Lyme disease. It's a very difficult situation, and I'm happy to report that a large number of people that I have worked with have gotten significantly better, and one of the people that I've done some work with has no symptoms whatsoever. It's considered Lyme's free. And that's pretty unusual, as you well know. But yes, it is possible.
Okay.
So I think what I recommend to contact Jon, send him an email, and have a session with him. Let him identify the source. If it's there through the energy pattern, you will be amazed. Actually, the way he's able to detect. And sometimes I've seen it myself. I worked with Jon for 20-something years. I've seen how he detects the source that the traditional medicine doesn't figure it out, through the blood work. So it's, yeah. So I'm having to put an end to the show tonight because the time is over. Thank you, Lauren. But Jon, I am so grateful to you and everybody.
Thank you.
In this amazing work of healing. You should go to spiritwords@mac.com or visit Jon Sweeney's website, www.spiritwords.com, and you will be amazed and you will be healed. And we are, Jon Sweeney and myself, very grateful for listening to our show tonight on OMTime Radio.
My pleasure.
Be well, and thank you, Jon. Thank you, Jon Sweeney.
Thank you, Carmen. Thank you all the calls.
Everybody be blessed, and we'll speak next week on OMTime Radio.